Hello and welcome to my video series on Xamarin Android, where you will learn how to develop mobile applications using C#. My name is Rodolfo Novello, and today I will talk to you about doing asynchronous stuff on your Android. Let's talk about async first. What does that mean? The main reason for going async on a mobile application are normally those long-running processes that make you feel that the flow of the execution has been stopped, or at a minimum is it appears kind of jerky. I'm talking about processes that take longer than 20 milliseconds, which you as a user can't perceive. Those processes are good candidates for running asynchronously. Internet processes, of course, take much longer than the 20 milliseconds we're talking about. So actually the Android framework does not allow to include a process that goes out on the internet on the main thread. When you have only one thread, any long-running process will take over the thread, stopping the flow of execution while it is doing its thing. In an asynchronous environment, an I/O-bound internet or CPU-bound process can be sent away to a separate execution thread from the main thread, letting the user keep doing stuff on the device while the device keeps working on bringing that online content that you requested, or finishes processing that complex calculation that you need. The .NET framework does a good job at simplifying this process by following the task-based asynchronous pattern. At the heart of the .NET asynchronous pattern are the task and task of type T objects and the keywords async and await. As a general rule, for I/O bound processes, you await an operation which will return a task or task of type T inside of an asynchronous method. For CPU bound processes, you await an operation which is started on a background thread with the task.run method. We will focus on the await keyword, which effectively yields control to the caller of the method that performed the await. I'm going to show you. Let's start by creating a blank Android application from Visual Studio, doing async stuff. Okay, so we select blank application and we click OK. Okay, now that the application has been created, let's modify our main layout and add a button, actually two buttons and two texts. The first button is going to activate the I/O call, and which means the internet call, and the second one is going to activate that long running calculation that we were talking about. When we click on the Go I/O button, this text over here is going to get the result of the URL call. And when we click on the calculate button, this text is going to show us the result of the calculations, whatever they might be. So let's get started with the coding. Let's save, and let's make sure that let me show you one more thing. Right here we're setting the content of our main resource, which is the view called, the layout called main. We are going to find the four components that we just created. Okay, so let's go for text view, which is going to be the first one. Let's call it button IO go. And we're going to find it as a text view with a resource ID of ID.text. Okay, you see that the system has not seen it yet. IO text IO. Okay, is that where it was? Yeah, text IO response is the first one. Identify the second button, which we called CPU. What do we call it? It doesn't really matter. Right here we can call it anything we want, but let's be a little consistent. CPU process result. CPU process result. Okay. CPU process result, which we're gonna find system as call everything text view process. Let's use the underscore over here. So now we have handlers to all of the or reference to all of the components, the views that we have created. You know what? I call them buttons, and they're not buttons. That's a text, and this one is a text as well. Okay, those are text views. These are buttons. Okay, so we want my HTTP dot get string asynchronously, and we're going to use this URL. But before we do that, I'd like to show you what the response looks like. Okay, so we have this sample response that Open Weather Map is providing, and we're going to use it. It's not live data, but this is what it looks like. We're not going to spend any time deserializing this JSON response. So this is the URL that this call expects. Goes right there. Okay, so that is for the first button. For the second button CPU process. Okay, for this one, let's first create the process that is going to take a long time. So let's go here and create a private method that's going to return a string called perform tons of calculations. Okay, and right here we're going to return just a string that is going to give us the results of these lengthy calculations, or just any. Okay, so now we have the process that is going to do lengthy calculations, and now we're going to call it asynchronously. The way to do it is click, okay, and we give it its sender exception given S and E, and right here we call our process. Okay. And to solve this a little squiggly, red squiggly line underneath task, we show potential fixes, and we choose using system threading tasks. Okay, and run is probably capital. And it, when I placed this method in the wrong spot, let's fix that. It's right after this. Okay, so now we should not have any problems, and let it rip, and check the output on your screen, and you will see that you will get something similar to this on after pressing the first button, and just this text on the second field that shows what the second button. So this is it, and I hope it helped understand a little better how to perform asynchronous operations on your Android. Thank you.